They did MRI and EEG tests on me. The EEG did show abnormalities during that time, and that's why they put me on Keppra right away. The MRI did not show the damage, so I left the hospital soon after that, I guess, and I got to back up because my introduction to this diet started right then in the hospital. Prior to me in the crash, my wife, who is extremely smart, worked in a library for many years as a librarian, and was going through some brain inflammation herself, had been doing research into things because doctors have not been helping her whatsoever, and had discovered the MAD diet on her own for herself, but hadn't had much luck adapting to it. But when she saw me on seizures and having the seizures that she did in the hospital, she started feeding me bacon grease while I was still unconscious. I was a vegetarian for 25 years prior to that. So I took it readily, and when I woke up to being conscious, she told me this and I accepted it. So I haven't looked back. I do know that when I left the hospital, I still was under the belief that I wasn't brain damaged. Actually, for the next year, I went under the belief that I didn't believe that I had seizures, that they weren't an issue for me. I got off the Keppra right away. I stayed on the MAD diet, but wishy-washily, to say the least. I didn't follow it strictly, and so I did have experiences during that first year that I definitely know now, looking back, were seizures, but I didn't accept them as seizures. I didn't accept that I had brain damage. And I didn't go back to a neurologist for a long time either after leaving the hospital. When I did go back to the neurologist, he told me after some experiences that I was having, that I wasn't sure what was happening. He told me that I probably was having seizures, but the MAD diet that I was on probably wasn't going to help me because I wasn't given to it by a dietitian and I had no idea what I was doing. And so if I felt like going off it, I should. So I did. I went off it immediately because I really wanted to go back to carbs. I wanted to go back to vegetarianism. I wanted to go back to doing the meditation courses that I did, which were long-term vegetarian. Intense, you had to be vegetarian for the time. So I did immediately. And I experienced what I knew were seizures at that point. That was my first thing. I know I'm having these. I cannot deny it anymore. And I said to myself, my wife is a freaking genius. I'm sorry. She should be given so much credit for getting me on that right away, and I should never have questioned her. I should never have questioned her. But I did, and I got off it. Of course, ever since then, I've been on it 100%, except when I've gone for EEGs, when the doctor has sort of hinted at me that he'd like to see activity. And when I do leave the diet, he sees the activity on my EEGs. When I'm on the diet, he does not see the activity. I look back on that experience as a very positive experience that I would never repeat, but I absolutely wish that I'm so happy that I went through it. I was already an experienced meditator. I'd been meditator for 20 years. I went into that course. You know, I kind of knew that I was having these seizures. I had done research. I took a train there. It was a long journey. And I kind of, at that point, kind of realized what these were. But I still hadn't accepted it within myself. But I went into the course. I started eating the vegetarian food regularly right away, gave up the fats, went in full carb, heavy carb diet that they provide for this. And within 2 days, I was seeing the food as gray. My vision turned whenever I looked at the food that was served us. We're served in silence, because the meditation course is silent. I was looking at the food, and it looked gray to me. I couldn't even see colors anymore when I looked at the food. I'm thinking, this is poison. I'm eating poison here. And I did continue eating. And the third day, I had, after the 10 a.m. group sitting, I had very heavy seizures. I was sitting there in my room, and I remember the course manager knocking on my door for something, and I was very interrupted. It just startled me, and I went back to my cushion and sat back on my cushion, and I experienced what I knew consciously for the first time was a seizure. And then giving up the diet for 10 days. The course was 10 days. It was ongoing. I had at least 8 or 10 seizures per day that were pretty heavy, followed by patterns of not really being there. So when I'm off the diet, I don't know that I'm even able to be communicative, frankly. It's that bad. It's really that bad. And when my wife picked me up, I was gonna schedule for the train home, but she knew something was up, and she waited for me at the entrance to the course. She drove that long way. She waited for me. She had some bacon grease in hand. She had it to me, put it in my mouth. I started feeling better immediately. It's an immediate reaction. Now, I didn't stop the seizures regularly for another 3 months after that. So I know that it takes time for me to build back into it, but I've never looked back on that again. I can't. It was a great experience, a wonderful experience, but I will never repeat. Light in certain angles, the sunlight especially in certain angles, is a big one. Motion is a big one. Videos, things like that with lots of stop motion or quick flashy things. Or when I don't drive, but when I'm in a car, in the passenger seat, at night, headlights coming at me. Or in the daylight, the sun going through trees when I'm riding down the road. Those are the triggers for me as well. Actually, that one has been a great improvement to me recently too, via a CPAP machine that I've recently been put on. I did not realize how much of a lack of sleep I was having until I was put on a CPAP, and I can already see the difference in the amount of simple partials that I'm having.